Hello, my friends from 5270. This is Patrick here. Part 3 of the Module 4 videos. Today, we are going to focus in on this word recognition at a little bit more advanced level. The second part of the video was really focused on beginning blending and very early decoding. Typically single syllable, short vowel words. Now we're going to take a step forward and look at the pattern level of decoding, where now we get long vowel patterns, other vowel patterns, and so forth, even multi-syllable words. I want to show you one tool here that is my absolute favorite, particularly with regard to reading interventions. We almost always incorporate it. Let's say in my wife's 3rd grade class, when there is a kid who is struggling with word recognition, struggling with reading fluency, works great even though it's not exactly what it was intended for. What I'm talking about is Words Their Way. Many of you may be familiar with that program. It's been around for a long time. It's been popular at certain times and places in Wyoming. It is a word work program. It's largely conceived of, I believe, as a spelling program. And, I have my reservations about it as a spelling program. I think it has a lot of strengths, but it can be very challenging to implement in a class situation as a spelling program. However, in terms of reading intervention for kids from very early on, really almost probably on into the secondary years, what Words Their Way gives you is this incredibly detailed sequence of scope and sequence of phonics patterns with word sorts that address each of these patterns, I think, in very logical, very skillful ways. So really what we do more than anything in terms of Words Their Way is borrow their word sorts and let them form kind of a scope and sequence in terms of word recognition and the phonics patterns that are involved. Okay, let me show you here a very typical long vowel pattern sort and how we use it in, say, a 1-on-3 or a 1-on-1 kind of reading intervention as a part of what they do. We would balance this, let's say, at the 3rd grade level, obviously with some text reading work and some fluency structures and so forth. Okay, so let me show you. This is a very typical Words Their Way sort. What they call the within word level, which, by the way, all of their materials, for some reason or another, available free with a little search online. You can download PDFs. These, for instance, come from the within word level. Those are basically the level that deals with short or long vowels and other vowel patterns. So here you can see we have these columns that are going to be formed by these headers. Short A words, so we talk this through with the kids. We have a vowel that's closed off on both sides by a consonant or consonant clusters. It's going to make the short sound, ah. We have words that are going to include long A, that is that silent E rule, the E making the A say its own name. We have long A words where the A is going to say its own name, A, where there are a vowel pair in the middle, in this case the I and A, of course. And then we have some words that are going to be oddballs. And I always point out to kids, when it comes time to sort, we have to sort both by sight. We want to match these patterns, and by sound, because there are oddballs that may match the pattern but not retain the sound. So the first time through, we would use this as to do some very explicit, careful teaching and, go slowly and work with the students. So I would start in with the words, okay. Here's, and typically there's about, 18 to 20 words that you end up sorting across the columns. So here is the word rash. We are looking for to sort it both by sight and sound. What do you see? And my group might tell me, short A, it goes with black. Good. And that's by sight. Let's check it by sound. Blah, ah, ra, ah. Good. That is that short A sound. So where it's in the right place. Here comes another word. We've got main. Sort by sight. There it is. We've got that AI together. Now let's check by sound. Rain, main. Yep, we hear it. Good. Got word like frame. Sort by sight. Of course, silent E at the end. Now let's check the sound. Space, frame. Yep, we hear the long A. And we've got again, there's usually about 20 words that you end up sorting. I'll just get a couple others. Now here's the oddball kind of case. It's important to have in here to kind of keep kids honest as far as sorting not only by sight but by sound. Here we go, guys. We have said. A lot of times their impulse, of course, will be to put it under the AI. If so, we go, okay, we do see the pattern, so sorting by sight, it's in the right place. Let's check the sound. Rain, said, ooh, nope. And that is one of our oddballs. It has the right pattern, but it makes a different sound. Okay, now the goal here, of course, we sort them carefully and use it for instruction. Then, kids could sort with a partner next to them in a group, sort them, and when we get to the end, we say, let's check our sort by reading, all of our columns. So we go down, black, rash, and there's probably more. Space, frame, place, rain, main, paint, said, and there might be a couple other oddballs. Great. Now, where this becomes very cool in an intervention setting, let's say we've sorted it once together, they've sorted it once with a partner. Now we say, guys, it's time for speed sorting. And speed sorting is just what it sounds, basically trying to sort and then read the sort as quickly as possible. So we usually, if it's one-on-one, this is easy. I'm gonna, keep time. My wife's class has a set of, very inexpensive stopwatches where one partner will time the other. Ready, go. And then it's a matter of getting these guys out quickly and reading the sort. Black, rash, space, frame, place, rain, main, paint, said. Done. Boom. Stop the stopwatch. Hey, great. Whatever it was, 1:27 seconds. Now, try it again, see if you can beat your time. So this speed sorting with these patterns, building the kind of automaticity with these words and these phonics elements that we know it takes to be a fluent reader. It really works tremendously as a one part of a intervention in reading, specifically dealing with word recognition and learning and solving the sort of various phonics patterns. Okay, what's amazing here, this is kind of, this goes much earlier. You get just simple consonant, vowel, consonant, short vowel words to sort for younger kids. This goes quite a long ways on the top end up to sorts where you're looking at orthographic patterns, seeing the relationship between nation and nationality, popularity, and so forth, that are entirely appropriate for our, secondary, at least through middle school for sure. And they've really worked on that top end of the program a lot in the recent years. Okay, so this is pretty much exclusively what I like to use for this word recognition at the phonics pattern level, beyond that basic blending. Okay, let's keep rolling and look at what I would consider more the advanced decoding. We've seen it in our research studies. A lot of kids who maybe showed struggles in beginning decoding or not had issues when the task turns towards multisyllabic, more orthographically, morphemically complex words. So I want to show you a few tools that we use. A lot of them very simple, very quick, and it doesn't necessarily take a ton of support, I think, for a lot of kids. And so a lot of these quick, easy things are at just the right pitch. The first thing is really presenting kids with and working with the syllable types. I'm sure you know there are only 6 syllable types in English, and the type of syllable really has a strong impact on the way that vowels sound in words. So I think it's very helpful to teach kids those 6 syllable types over time. Even I've been recommending it for some of my student teachers late now in the year in 1st grade, certainly by 2nd grade, in kind of this low-key way. I like to pair them like this: open and closed syllables, vowel pair and R-controlled syllables, and silent E and consonant LE syllables. Okay, so let's take open and closed syllables, for instance. I like to introduce each of these. They're pretty clear. We say, kids, there's, let's take the word silent. Let's clap it. Silent. So we know first syllable, sigh. I have it written up here. Take a look at it. Here, let me use this. Notice that it ends in I, which is the vowel for that syllable. Every syllable in English, by the way, has a vowel. You probably know that. So there's sigh. We call that an open syllable because there's no consonant closing off the vowel. So there is sigh in silent. Now, we have closed syllables. Take a look at the word picnic. Again, we could clap it, pick-nick. So we have 2 syllables. The first one's pick. Also has an I as the vowel in that syllable, but notice how the I is closed off with a consonant, in this case the C. We could also look at the syllable nick. Same thing, I in the middle, closed off by a consonant C. I just do nothing more than that, and then I like to start a chart. In the room or, on a chart paper that you could show in an intervention setting. And start charting words and just adding up a couple each day, maybe giving the kids the task. Hey, as you're reading today, if you find a word with an open syllable, I want you to write it down, share it with us, we'll put it on our chart. If you find a word with a closed syllable, write it down, maybe we'll put it on our chart, and we add to it. It could be over a month's time. And as you add to this, then you can start pointing out the patterns in terms of how syllable types affect the vowel. So we have, and of course these are 2 syllable words, so you have to underline the open syllable because Lent, if you chose that one, of course, would fit in the closed category. So here's our open syllable, silent. What's the I doing in that, kids? Long vowel, sigh, good. Decide. What's the vowel doing? Not making its own name. And lo and behold, you find, certainly not all the time, it has to do with stress too, but many open syllables are long vowel sounds. Versus closed, we have picnic, we have napkin. In fact, all 4 of those syllables, of course. In each case, the vowel is a short vowel sound. Again, not, of course, 100% consistent, but typically open vowel, open syllable, long vowel, short, closed syllable, short vowel. And that becomes, I think, a very helpful kind of word attack tool for kids late in 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade. By the way, Words Their Way also has a lot of sorts that come at the 2 syllable level that get at these kinds of issues. But still, I like to have a chart up. Maybe it's up for 3 weeks, just emphasizing open and closed syllables and adding to it each day a little bit, reading them through, noticing how syllable affects vowel sound. Then, we take that down after, say, a month, and we put up a similar chart with the vowel pair. Of course, you're going to see, many times that makes a long vowel sound, the EA, the EE, the AI, OA, not always. Then the R-controlled vowels, and just start looking at those. And then finally silent E. Well, that's pretty clear. We know what those do. We could have underlined the side here, making the vowel long, versus a consonant LE, like trouble, that always comes in at the end of a word and makes that bull sound. Okay? And it just informs kids that there's something happening here at the syllable level that affects their word attack. All right, the next one becomes really useful, as you go up the grades, 3rd grade, 4th grade, 5th grade, on up. And, you get into very sort of multisyllabic words, 3, 4 syllables, more complex. We simply call it reveal a word. And the way we use it would simply be to, let's say, troubleshoot a text that the class is going to read or a group is going to read. And, pull 3 or 4 words, polysyllabic words that you anticipate a lot of kids may struggle with, and just say, at the outset, a little pre-teaching, say, guys, we're going to see, this is pretty hard text you're going to read. We're going to see 3 or 4 words that a lot of you may not know and may have a hard time reading. So let's look at them. Through our reveal a word. Now, I didn't have a sentence strip handy, but I would write them on a sentence strip, fold it over like this to cover the word, and then I'm going to reveal it sort of chunk by chunk, typically syllable by syllable, and we learn to see the word that way, just reading it together. Okay, guys, I want you to start. We're going to see piece by piece here, syllable by syllable. Here we have ah, and they read with me, ah. Sten. Okay, sten. So we have ah, sten. Open syllable. Te. So we have ah, sten, te. Tricky ending. Shus. So our word is, and I may go back once more and reveal it. This is a little more awkward to work with than a sentence strip, which is real easy. Ah, sten, te, shus. Good, you guys read it to me? Ostentatious. Super. Here's the next one. Again, I may have 3 or 4 words only on a sentence strip, and just make sure that we give them their time and sort of analyze them carefully, chunk by chunk, syllable by syllable. I can talk through the syllable, like in this case, closed syllable, sten. Okay, well, just what we expect. Short vowel. Te, open syllable, no consonant closing off the A, and it, lo and behold, is a long vowel. And so forth, or not. It just may be enough to carefully sort of read in that syllable by syllable fashion. Okay, very versatile. Only takes, you could pick 5 words out of an upcoming chapter or selection in the basal or something like that, and zip through 4 or 5 words in all of, 90 seconds, and just be supporting those kids in that way. All right. The last one we're going to look at today is called ScyllaSearch. This comes from Isabel Beck. It is, again, sort of meant to help kids with multisyllabic reading, just a low-grade kind of support. It can be used one of 2 ways. Either Isabel gives a whole series of kind of increasingly difficult multisyllabic words, and you can actually use just sort of her sets of words. Or you can do just like the reveal a word, pull out 4 or 5 multisyllabic words from an upcoming reading and turn them into a ScyllaSearch. Okay, ScyllaSearch has 3 steps. First, you meet the words. So these are, I would use a larger sort of sentence strip. This would be for an overhead projector, and works just fine in that way too. We go, okay, kids, let's meet our words. These are going to be our multi-syllable words that we, in today's reading, that we want to just spend a little time with. And the first step, meet the words, we just read them. We've got perfect. Guys, read it with me. Perfect. And I'll just cycle through storage, perhaps, and package. Okay, maybe there's a chance it's not really designed to be a time to talk about word meanings, but if it's totally unfamiliar, especially if it comes from a reading that's coming up, then we could talk briefly about the word meaning, but really the focus is on word recognition. So once we've met the words, the second step is to find the syllable. So I will say, all right, group, we have the word perfect. What letters, what part of this word is making the syllable per? And someone says, P-E-R, Mr. Maniac. Great. And they get really good at this. So we're, thinking about words and syllable. And I have it right here, and I put it in a pocket chart or on the table if it's a smaller group. Okay, so what part then is making the syllable fect? And someone will say, oh, F-E-C-T. Great. There it is. And what we're going to do is end up with some columns here of first and second, and it could be third and fourth syllables, but these are all two syllable. Great. So we go quickly through. Package, what's making the syllable pack? P-A-C-K. Great. Okay, there it is. What's making the syllable age or edge? A-G-E. Okay, package. That's edge. Good. Perhaps, what's making the syllable per? P-E-R. Okay, we have that one. How about haps? Oh, that is, H-A-P-S. There is haps. And what's making the syllable storage? What's making store? There it is. So just pushing a little careful syllable recognition and thinking. And what's making edge? A-G-E. There it is. So now we found the syllable. You can probably see where this is going. The third step of SylSearch is then to make the words. So we met the words, found the syllables, now we make the words. So I can call a student up and say, I can be very direct, and I say, who can come up really quickly and make the word perfect for us? And the goal, of course, is to take one syllable from each column. So Jimmy comes up and he puts this in the pocket chart. Read it for us. Perfect. Everybody together. Perfect. Great. Boom. These go back. Who can make the word perhaps? Someone comes up. Perhaps. Or I can be more open-ended. Who can just come up and make a word that we just met from our sort? And then a kid can come up and make, a word, read it back to us. We even play sort of making up non-words. Kind of fun. Really gets at the same thing. Kids, who can come up, put together a syllable from the first column and second column to make a word that's a silly word, that's a nonsense word, that's not really a word. But you have to be able to read it and just kind of make up a silly meaning for it. So somebody maybe comes up and says, my word is packhaps, and it means that there's a package under the tree that might be for me. Great. And we can do that once or twice and then moving on. Again, this can either be a specified kind of sequence of multisyllabic words, and Isabel Beck gives that 3 levels of difficulty. This is kind of an early one, of course, 2 syllables, pretty basic. Or it can be sort of that troubleshooting. Let me pick 3 or 4 multisyllabic words from an upcoming reading, and we just use that as a tool to start supporting multisyllabic reading in this way. Okay, now the last thing that we're not going to do here, because I think I've done plenty in terms of video, is morphemic analysis. This all kind of dealt with syllable analysis. We also want kids to clue in to the morphemes, the meaning-based parts in words, the prefixes and suffixes and so forth. I'm going to save that for the vocabulary unit because I've already done a ton of video. Thanks for sticking with me. Hopefully these kinds of tools, it helps a little to see them. I honestly believe, I call our online courses the necessary evil. In a state like Wyoming, I realize it's necessary to get stuff out to teachers around the state. But I mean, so much of what we do is tied to very practical, day-to-day teaching activities that we do with kids. And I mean, it's one thing to read about them. I mean, it's even another thing for me to show you at my kitchen table, and even a third to actually put them into practice with kids. But I just feel that great need to, when we're talking about practical teaching activities, to at least hit that second level where I show you kind of how we've gone about doing these things. Again, these are all things that can fit in and be a small, quick moving piece in a reading intervention that also includes, some text reading. And that's what we'll get into next unit. Thanks, Patrick, over and out.